Halflings, hobbits, little people, whatever you want to call them, that's the race that we're going to be talking about for Mirandus as far as the exemplars. But let's go ahead and call them halflings because that's their official actual name in the world of Mirandus. And this is going to be our exemplar series because we've covered the humans, we've covered the orcs, we covered the dwarves. Now we're talking about halflings, and the video after this is going to cover the elves. There's five type of halflings like there were with the orcs and dwarves. However, there's even fewer halflings than either of those because there's only 4,000 halflings total. So out of all the players, there's going to be 50,000 total exemplars. Less than 10% of them are going to be halflings. So they're going to be fairly rare to see. And when you see a low dude running around, it's going to be a cool sight because you just won't see them as often as you'll see humans or some of these other races that we've already talked about. But before we get into these halflings and talk about what they're good at, my name is Duyo, and if you like Miranda's content, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel because that's all we talk about here. And if you want to join a Miranda's community where you can buy, sell, and trade items with other players, find players to group with and play with during the playtest, then go ahead and join my Discord channel. A link will be in the description below, and I do post daily Miranda's tips there every single day, so it's something that I know you're going to enjoy. Go ahead and join that. But let's get back to the halflings because halflings are really cool. Ever since The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, people just really like little people. They've been in video game class for years now, And what do these guys get a bonus to? They get bonuses to things like stealth and buffs and some there's one that just doesn't fit in any category like that, but we'll get into that soon. But one reason why these are so important and why I'm doing all these exemplar videos is because owning an exemplar is literally the only requirement to go ahead and start playing Miranda's in the upcoming playtest at the end of quarter 1, which is going to be about a month and a half from the release of this video, maybe 2 months. Let's see how it goes, but it's coming up. It's a permanent playtest. You can permanently start playing, start earning money already playing this game, and the only requirement is owning an exemplar. So that's why I'm covering them all. And here's the halflings. All right, the first halfling we have on the list here is the even strides, and once again, I'm going to Miranda's Hub to check these out. Miranda's Hub has all of the different exemplars, all the buildings, all the deeds. It's got a lot of info there, so check out Miranda's Hub. But yeah, the even strides. So I did say the halflings either get a bonus to stealth or buffing, but one didn't fit in any category. This would be that one. The even strides get a reduced energy cost when running. So this doesn't necessarily mean that they run faster, but it means that they can run farther. And without more energy costs, that means that they'll have more energy to do whatever they're doing once they get to their destination. It could mean that maybe these even strides don't need a mount because they can just run and run and run and be able to keep up with other players who are on a mount, or at least outrun the players who don't have a mount and don't have the energy to keep up. And it also means that maybe these guys don't need to eat as much food because they don't need as much energy as other exemplars would require. And any exemplar that gets a food bonus is overall just going to be slightly, how should I say it? Slightly cost efficient because you're spending less money on food, which means that you're saving more money, which means more gold to buy the gear, to earn the Materium, to withdraw into your wallet, right? So anything like that is always going to be a good thing. And just being able to sprint is definitely a quality of life feature. Last play test, everybody was struggling because once you leave the town and you're sprinting, it's like, do you really want to waste your energy sprinting? And also, like, sometimes you have to. So these guys are really cool. Very great utility. Out of all of the exemplars, I really, really like these guys because anything that's cost efficient, I like, and any kind of quality of life, I like. However, do keep in mind, this buff would not make them the best in combat the best crafters, the best gatherers, or the best like unique things that only they can do. Like some of these exemplars we've talked about before can see heat signatures, can see in dark interiors, and they are literally the only type of exemplar that can do that. This isn't quite a unique buff. Everybody can sprint. It's just that these guys can sprint a little better. And they're not even the fastest. They're just can outrun other people. So I still like them, but that is something to keep in mind. All right, moving on to the long song. And these guys are very unique and they're really cool. And just the fact that these exemplars exist means that we're going to have some cool stuff happening in the world of Mirandus. So these guys get reduced energy costs when playing music. And that could be like a bard class that's out there in a dungeon raid who is buffing characters, buffing characters, debuffing monsters, anything like that, your classic bard stuff. And that's really cool. That class isn't confirmed, but just the fact that these guys exist means that that's a definite possibility. But what it also means is we know there's going to be inns and taverns in games. We know everybody's going to need to sleep and everybody's going to need to eat. And an inn is a place where you can pretty much do both, and a place that's safe in town where you can get your required sleep and food. And a lot of players can join up in these ends and just chat, because we're not going to have world chat, trade chat, anything like that where you can talk to 50,000 people at one time. You can only talk to each other through voice chat, which is within close proximity to you, right? So gathering up in places like an inn would be really cool and something that's going to happen so that you can hold guild meetings or whatever you're doing, and these guys can be in the background playing music. It would be really cool if they got to like have some kind of music mini game. I doubt that'll happen. It'll probably be like you have skills that just play different tones or different songs or whatever. And even that would be cool. So yeah, very unique, and it's gonna add a lot of flavor to the world of Miranda's. Not something I would do. Just I mean, they're definitely cool to have in game, just not for me personally to actually be doing myself. But I do like them. Like I said, it adds a lot of flavor to the game. Okay, so the Mumsons. These next two are really cool because they are good in stealth. And these guys can move in almost complete silence. So there's two key components to stealth, really. If you're walking by a goblin, a brute, or whatever, they can see you and they can hear you. And these guys will be able to negate the hearing part, so they can move in almost complete silence. That's really cool. It also leads to, is there going to be a sneak or a stealth skill? Probably, because these guys are going to be sneaking past things. And then also, and again, this is not a confirmed class, but it could lead to like a rogue type class that has a stealth skill. Because in a previous AMA with Michael McCarty and Jason Hughes, and yeah, I think it was just them two talking, and they showed an exemplar, and the exemplar had a sword on his back, but he also was dual wielding daggers. He had two daggers on his hips. And so if you could have two daggers on your hip, that means that you're dual wielding daggers, which is a rogue type skill, an assassin type skill, which often have like a stealth type skill. So that's not completely confirmed. We'll have to see how that develops, but this could be a prelude to that. And at the very least, if you are trying to sneak past some big bad boss to get in the chest behind him, this would be the guy to do it, because you can sneak him behind him while he's sleeping, while he's got his back turned, and you'll be quiet and be able to steal the chest. So these guys are really cool. I've always liked stealth in games. I've played a lot of stealth classes, and yeah, I like them. The Never Look. So this was the hearing aspect of stealth. This is the seeing aspect of stealth. So if crouched and motionless, you're almost invisible. So if you're standing and motionless, or if you're crouched but moving, you would not be almost invisible. You would have whatever your basic stealth bust, I guess. But if like I can just imagine the goblin is kind of alerted and he's looking around and you're crouched and you're just standing still, like just waiting for him to go away. And yeah, that would be kind of cool. And this whole crouch feature kind of drives my point home that there's going to be some kind of stealth or sneak skill in the game. You'll at least be able to crouch. And I would imagine if you're crouching, you're also quieter. So if these guys are crouched, I would say that they're super, super quiet. And then these guys, you just want to be able to see them. And it would be really cool if some monsters had really great hearing, but like poor vision, and some monsters had really um, great vision but poor hearing. Sorry, I had to think about the way I said it the first time so I could say it right the second time. But yeah, it would be really cool if monsters either had great hearing or great vision, and then depending on which one they are, like one of these guys would be really good and the other one would be really bad at it. Well, not bad, just average, as in everybody else, you know. But yeah, so these two almost confirm a stealth sneaking stealth class in the game. And if that's your playstyle, the Neverlooks or the Mumsons are the ones that you would want to be. And so far, I've really liked all of the halflings except for the long song, which I think is cool, but I wouldn't actually do myself. And then the proud herds. This is a halfling I actually really, really want. If I ever had a grand inn in the game or a tavern or something, this would be the halfling that you want because they get reduced energy costs when cooking and brewing. So these guys will be able to cook your food, brew you some hot soup, some ale, some whatever they're brewing there, and be able to serve it in the inner tavern. These guys are going to make great money for somebody because it would be a crafting class. So think of a blacksmith, think of a fletcher, a weaver, something like that that we've talked about before. Except for these guys would be crafting food. The ingredients would come from the true providers who are out there harvesting the fields. We talked about that with the human exemplars. And then these guys would take those ingredients and craft food out of it. It would just be like as if one dwarf was mining ore and then the other dwarf was a blacksmith using the ore. The humans would be gathering the food and these guys would be crafting the food into a meal that every single exemplar is going to have. So that's a big point because I don't know exactly how much food we'll have, how long it would be. I would assume that better food would have better buffs, and eventually the highest level proud herds are gonna have a lot of money because they'll be able to craft the best food that is a consumable that all the top players are going to have to eat over and over every single day. And that just means that these guys are always going to be busy. And remember, there's not nearly as many of these halflings as there are humans or even orcs or dwarves. So these guys are going to be fairly rare and very high in demand. So as much as I like some of the orcs and some of these other halflings, if I had to pick a second character to play, it would probably be these guys because they'd be really good at making money, is what I would guess. But yeah, uh, four out of the five halflings I like, and the one that I don't like, it's not that I don't like it, it's just not for me personally. I actually really like it in the game, and I think it's really cool. So that's pretty much it for the halflings. They are a really really cool, and and then you'll see that we are almost done. We only have the elves, and the elves are the master combatants. They're very good with DPS. So the next video is going to be really really cool. You won't want to miss that because I know everybody likes DPSing in game, and we'll cover that then. All right, so that's it for the halflings. And did you see one that you liked? Let me know in the comments below what's your favorite halfling, or if you own a halfling and what you plan to do in game with it. I am very curious to know. I really like these halflings. They are pretty cool little guys. And if you want to check out the other videos we've done, check out this playlist where I go over the humans, the orcs, the dwarves, everything that we've covered so far. I'm going to add this video and then I'll add my future video about the elves in this playlist so that all of these exemplar videos are convenient in one spot for you. So check that out. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you in the next video.